Hi, this is Brian Conway, and in this short video presentation I want to help you to understand the top 3 mistakes that are made by salespeople typically when trying to sell to executives and engage at the board level of their customers' businesses. And obviously we'll talk about how to avoid them in doing so. This module is taken from a course that we run called Selling to Executives. Now, the forerunner of this course was a program we used to run called Talking to the Top Team, and we used to bring in real executives from some of our major accounts, and we'd run business sales role plays with these executives and the account managers and account directors of our company. And post the business meeting, we would debrief the 2 individuals separately. And quite often the account manager or account director, the salesperson, would say that the meeting went extremely well, that they managed to glean lots of really valuable information from the executive, and they felt that they were able to put across their propositions and what the businesses offer to the executive very succinctly. However, we would then debrief the executive, and they would say that the meeting was rather average, that the salesperson asked lots of sort of general questions, questions about things that they feel they should already be aware of, and then went on to just explain what their company does and the products and services that they offer. But they weren't really interested. So it was two very different perspectives on the same meeting. So I tell you this story because, as I said, this course is all about helping you get your key to the executive suite through effective executive conversation. And typically what we find is that most salespeople engaging at that level think they've had a good meeting, but the executives don't, and it means they don't get a second meeting quite often. So I'll tell you that bit of background because I want you to understand that this content that we're about to go through in the next few minutes is based on real feedback from executives when meeting with sales people. So at this current time we find ourselves in a recession, and therefore executive engagement is more important probably than it's ever been in some respects, because when the economy goes down, decisions go up. So we've got to be able to engage and have that effective conversation at the executive level. So before I get into the 3 biggest mistakes that people typically make, I want to just give you a bit of a background around sales behavior and a couple of things that often generate these mistakes. So if we think about a typical business, and if we assume that EMO, executive management and operations, are the 3 typical levels of hierarchy within a business, then let's just think of firstly about the behavior we should adapt at these different levels. Now, if we're working at the operations level, it's quite typical that we will be responding to some kind of technological need. They're looking to add more users to their network or increase port capacities, maybe upgrade redundant or aging technology. There'll be some kind of tactical reason that they engage with us. So we are selling products typically at this level, and what's often referred to as a box shifter or tin shifter type sales behavior is often then applied. If we manage to move up to the management level in an organization, then it's quite a different conversation. Now we're helping them understand what some of their business challenges are, maybe what some of the problems they are facing with technology, and if we can find a problem, then we can sell a solution. So the sales behavior at this level is quite different, and it's certainly more consultative. However, at the executive level, it's quite a different story. So this is more about talking business, about talking strategy. And this is where architectures as a strategic approach to buying information technology and network infrastructure has its place. Because now you can talk about how the technology can enable business and bring your perspective and understanding of technology and your experience. So you can start to advise them on their business strategy when it comes to purchasing information technology. And therefore, you become much more of a trusted advisor or trusted business advisor rather than a salesperson. So 3 very different sales behaviors at 3 different levels of a customer's organization. So I want to go on now to talk about what are these 3 biggest mistakes that people typically make. And they are timing, language, and preparation. And I'll explain why those sales behaviors are therefore so important as we work our way through these issues and find ways of avoiding actually running into these problems. So let me first talk about timing. So to do so, I want to talk about the buying process first of all, because we all know that the customers go through a number of stages when they buy anything. So first of all, they'll potentially identify a problem in their business. They'll look for a solution to that problem. They'll then look for a product that delivers that solution, and ultimately a supplier who can deliver that product or service. And in sales, we call this the sales funnel. Now we know if we engage at the right-hand side of this funnel, we're typically talking to the operations level. We're talking about product feature, functionality, and then quite often it comes down to the price discussion because it's very price sensitive at that side of the funnel. If we can migrate further to the left, hence engage earlier in the sale as we teach, and adopt a more consultative type of selling, as we previously discussed, then we can actually help the customer scope the issues, define the solutions, and because we are doing that, we can influence the actual requirements in our favor, and therefore we get much higher win rates, and typically it becomes less of a price conversation. So we're all fairly comfortable with that scenario, I'm sure. But what happens throughout this process is that salespeople will typically then say, actually, look, we need to be getting executive buy-in. And that's really where the first problem arrives, because timing is everything, as they say, and this is not the time to be engaging with executives. Because when the vision has been set and a project or a business initiative has been defined by the board, they will then pay people below them to actually implement it. So if you're going to talk to them about this, well, it's already faded into the back of their mind and it's not something they're interested in talking about. So when are executives involved in the sales process? Well, before the sale, typically they are involved with actually identifying the business issues. They are involved in setting the overall project strategy for the company. They will be involved in establishing or signing off any project objectives. And therefore that is a great time to be engaging with executives, not actually in the purchasing time frame that we see in the middle here. Now, the next time executives typically get involved is after the sale, when they're actually looking to measure the actual results of the implementation, the actual returns that they're getting to the business as from their investment. So again, that is a great time to be engaging with executives because you've got a story to tell, hopefully a success to discuss, and you can talk about their business and how it's realized value from your implementation. But to actually engage with executives during the sales process to talk about the sales process, then you're going to make a big mistake. So timing is incredibly important, and therefore one of the biggest mistakes that executives are told us salespeople make. So let's move swiftly on to our second biggest mistake, and this is to do with language and the use of inappropriate language. Now, I don't mean kind of swearing and that kind of thing. I'm talking about the fact that, and you probably want to write this down, because I think if you remember this for the rest of your sales career, it will really help you engage at all sorts of different levels in a business, but particularly important at the executive levels. Because executives say that you will always be delegated to talk to the person that you most sound like. So if you talk technical or you talk sales opportunity, you will be delegated back down the hierarchy to the management level, who may be managing the implementation or the purchase, or even further down the hierarchy to the operations level to talk about products. Now, we don't mean you never talk kind of technology at the board level, because if you are talking to a CIO, for example, an information technology officer, then obviously it would be appropriate sometimes to have that conversation. But not talking about the product and its features and functionality. You're talking about how it will enable their business, because this is what they're expecting. They're expecting you to be able to talk like an insider, somebody who already understands their market, their business, their customers. And one of the things we found that is a lot of salespeople are taught when talking to executives that you want to answer, some really consultative type questions like, what's the biggest issue affecting your business at this current time? But as we've seen, consultative behavior isn't necessarily appropriate at the executive level. And there's 3 reasons why. First of all, if you haven't actually got the relationship, if they don't fully trust you and know you as an individual, then first of all, they're not just going to wash their dirty laundry, so to speak, in front of you by talking about the things that are challenging their company. Secondly, as I said, they'll expect you to already or know some of the major issues that their business is experiencing. They don't expect to, therefore, educate you on information that's readily available. But lastly, one of the things, issues that we've seen is that somebody asks that great open question, what's the biggest issue sort of affecting your company, Mr. Customer, at this time? And they get an answer to which they can't actually address in any way, shape or form. So, for example, the executive comes back and says foreign exchange rates, absolutely crippling our international trade. Well, that's not necessarily something that you could fix. You can't influence the International Monetary Union or whatever with regards to their foreign exchange rates. So you end up opening up a line of questioning to which you have no relevant response or assistance. So be mindful of asking questions that are appropriate to the business, talking like an insider who already understands their marketplace, and perhaps asking more questions where you show that you understand the issues and ask questions about what's the impact of those issues perhaps to the business. It's that next level of questioning. So talk like an insider, not like a consultative salesperson. Now, to deal with both of these issues, we can improve our preparation. And this is one of the key areas, again, where we see a lot of people making mistakes. Because it's not just about lack of preparation, it's lack of the right preparation. See, a lot of people will prepare for a meeting with an executive as if it was a sales meeting, another sales call. So they'll set an objective and they'll write an agenda perhaps, and perhaps do some research on the customer's website about any kind of current issues. Quick look at the report and accounts perhaps to read the chairman's statement, maybe a quick look at their website to see if there's any current news items that would be appropriate. And all this is good stuff, and yes, you should be doing it, but that's not what an executive is necessarily looking to talk about. All that is just good business practice. They're expecting to talk to you, as we said, as a peer, as somebody who understands their business already, and somebody who they don't have to educate, as we said, on things that you should already know, but somebody who already understands their market and the business drivers and the things that are affecting their business. So they expect to meet you, as I said, as a trusted business advisor, somebody who can offer perspective about our industry and how it's impacting businesses and positively, how it's helping them achieve what they want to achieve in their marketplace. So they're looking to hear you commenting on their industry, the movers, the shakers, the new technologies, mergers, acquisitions, all that sort of stuff, and to then talk about how maybe technology could assist a business in addressing those business issues. So be careful not to talk product, not to come in as a salesperson, but to talk as a trusted business advisor, and that can only be done with the right preparation. Now, the right preparation isn't something like a sales call that's done a day or a week before. It's something that needs to be done months before your engagement with a customer. So you need to be starting today really, for meetings that might be months in the future, to really understand what's going on in your customer's business, to check the news, to see, as I said, who's moving, who's shaking, what's happening with technologies, what's happening with the products and services that they offer, and who their competitors are, and all that sort of stuff. So really have an understanding of their market. Now, you might say this takes a lot of work, and potentially it does take quite a bit of work. However, to sit at the top table, this is the level and type of preparation that will give you admission to the board level. It's also help you stand out from the crowd, and executives will actually recognize that you've done your homework, and they'll give you credit for that and actually help you or respect you more for having done that work, and therefore that will all help you and have the proper level of business conversation. So they're the three big mistakes. So in wrapping up, let me just give you 3 quick tips and to summarize what we've talked about and things you should be doing to help avoid those mistakes. So firstly, before you book a meeting with an executive, you should be booking a meeting with yourself. Now, this is a time management technique that we often teach, and basically we're saying book a meeting with yourself. Get it in your diary as if it was a meeting with a customer, and honor that time. So if somebody says, could you do a meeting at 2 o'clock next Thursday, and you look at your planner and there's the time you've blocked for yourself, then you respect that time, as I said, as if it was a customer meeting. You say, sorry, no, I can't do 2 o'clock. Even book a meeting room if you can, if they're available where you work, and go and set some time aside to do this research and to do this preparation. Otherwise, it will just slip and slip and it won't happen. And you'll find you get an executive meeting and you're not prepared. Secondly, conduct your meetings, as I said, as a trusted business advisor, not a salesperson. Bring your perspective to the market, of the market to the meeting, and offer advice and insight as a peer of theirs, not as a salesperson. And because of that, our final top tip is to say, don't use the sales opportunities that might currently be in the pipeline as your primary reason for calling. As you saw, you can talk before opportunities arrive, you can talk after an opportunity is being closed and it's been implemented and it's delivering some value, but not during that sales process, or at least not during that sales process to talk about that sales opportunity. You can still go to the board during that time, but you don't talk about that sales opportunity. You might find that they will ask you, how's it going? And then you can show some, give them some feedback, but then don't get down into too much detail about that opportunity. Keep it up at the business level. So I trust you found those tips and the insight about the mistakes that people make informative, and I guarantee that if you avoid them, then you'll find that your executive level engagement is significantly more successful. So good luck in executive selling and engaging at the board level. I'm Brian Conway. Goodbye.